people with cluster headaches, which or migraines. Usually they cannot even function those days. They have to, close the curtains and be in a dark room because they cannot watch, read, or listen to anything. They have to be in complete silence and as low as contact with outer world. So these people are saying, okay, this is amazing. I get, better in 1 hour and I can go with my kids and etc.
Hello, my friend, and welcome to another episode. Today, we're chatting about another really cool tool that I found. Last week, we chatted about full body MRI scans, and this week, we're talking about HRV, vagus nerve regulation, using pulse technology. So I promise this will be the last tool for a little while. It just happened to be that both these episodes are ready. I try to space things out a little bit, but this go around, it was just, okay, we're doing MRIs this week and we are doing vagus nerve support the following week. And so today's episode, we're going to be talking about vagus nerve, why it's important, why we need to work on it, nervous system regulation, signs that your nervous system is dysregulated, what vagus nerve stimulation devices do, why they're helpful. Oh, I love the vagus nerve. And I can tell you after listening to today's episode, you're going to appreciate your vagus nerve so much more. If you are dealing with a low HRV and an elevated resting heart rate, if you just can't build muscle in the gym, if you're constantly feeling exhausted, you can't get ahead of your training, you're having a hard time with cravings and just you feel like you have a mess of your life, I bet you your nervous system is playing a role. This information is especially helpful for individuals who perhaps have gone on root cause protocols, whether you're trying to open up drainage or address parasites or mold, and your body just reacts so strongly, your nervous system is involved. So I'm really excited to share today's episode with you. Our episode is with Vogel, who is the CEO and co-founder of Pulsetto. If you want to learn more about Pulsetto, you can go to the link in the show notes where you can use the code Leanne to get 20% off. Okay, let's cut over to our time with Vogel. Hey, my name is Leanne, and I'm fascinated with helping women navigate how to eat, move, and care for their bodies. This has taken me on a journey from vegan, keto, high protein to everything in between. I'm a small town holistic nutritionist turned 3-time international bestselling author turned functional medicine practitioner, offering telemedicine services around the globe to women looking to better their health and stop second-guessing themselves. I'm here to teach you how to wade through the wellness noise to get to the good stuff that'll help you achieve your goals. Whether you're seeking relief from chronic ailments, striving for peak performance, or simply eager to live a more vibrant life, this podcast is your go-to resource for actionable advice and inspiration. Together, we'll uncover the interconnectedness of nutrition, movement, sleep, stress management, and mindset, empowering you to make informed choices that support your unique health journey. Think of it as quality time with your bestie mixed with a little med school so you're empowered at your next doctor visit. Get ready to be challenged and encouraged while you learn about your body and how to care for it healthfully. Join me as we embrace vitality, reclaim our innate potential, and discover what it truly means to pursue healthfulness. Vogel, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I'm so excited to chat with you about vagus nerve and the technology that you've created. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me as a part of your, let's say, community, maybe like this. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Yes, of course. So I'd love to start off by just understanding a little bit of your history, what got you started in this work, and what lights you up to continue persevering through everything.
Yeah, so maybe quickly I can introduce myself. So I'm Povilas. I'm biomedical engineer by trade. So I was basically from the start trying to develop something that could be beneficial to human society, in my opinion. But, the journey was quite long. But in general, I was working with implantable devices, so implantable vagus nerve stimulators for drug-resistant epilepsy and drug-resistant depression. So that the main indications for vagus nerve stimulation are these two. Also work with deep brain stimulators and spinal cord stimulators and organ transplantation. So, this was basically the thing that I was working with. And how did I, let's say, came up with Pulsetto company, which I'm one of the co-founders. So I was searching for a solution because my father became very ill, and he was basically degrading over time, and I could not find, and all the good physicians could not find what was happening to him. So, I talked with neurosurgeons, neuroscientists, and, read some scientific papers about vagus nerve stimulation, and it might help. So we came to this conclusion. So I tried to find a similar device, which we created right now, Pulsetto, on the market. But at that point, I couldn't find one. It was, 5 years ago or something like this. So, being an engineer, I made my mission to create one. But I was a little bit too late. My father passed. So that, pursuit of creating vagus nerve stimulators just to try to help him was put into a shelf. But later in some health tech community, I found my co-founder, Vitalius. So his wife was suffering from cluster headaches. So basically, it's a very debilitating condition. So we talked. I found some research that vagus nerve stimulation can benefit to these conditions because there was a company in the US who created the device who can basically stimulate vagus nerve and reduce cluster headaches and migraines. So we talked and said, okay, I have, let's say, like a blueprint, and we can build this device and try to go to market and help his wife. So we created it. It helped. We found the investment, and the rest is basically history because we launched on Indiegogo. It's a similar platform like Kickstarter. So in just 1 month we generated revenue of 200,000. So it was very good. We had influx of money to create product more, and to have revenue to buy components, etc. And right now we're quite growing fast. So in general, that was the upbringing of Pulsetto as a non-invasive vagus nerve stimulation device.
Congratulations. That's amazing. I know we were chatting just before we started recording. My mom was diagnosed with Parkinson's a couple of years ago, and there is this unsettling feeling, and I'm sure a lot of listeners can relate, when your parents start to get ill and when they're deteriorating. The drive that I've had to research is just next level, because I'm like, there has to be something, like with your background as well, understanding certain components. It's like there has to be a solution to move forward. And a big piece that I've kind of landed on is that vagus nerve support. And when I was visiting her the last time with her Parkinson's, especially, she loses balance. And so all of a sudden she'll be like falling backward. And as soon as I touch her neck where the vagus nerve is, it settles her down and she gains her balance. And that is just so fascinating to me. I'd love to kind of chat a little bit about vagus nerve. If this is a new topic for individuals, they'd never heard of this vagus nerve before. You mentioned it a couple of times in your intro. What is the vagus nerve and what role does it play in the body?
So vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve in the body. So basically it travels from the brain to all the internal organs, and it's like a highway of information. So basically all the chatter between brain and your all, let's say, bodily functions are happening via vagus nerve. So in general, if something is not working, your brain receives that signal from some organ. And what is the unique thing about stimulating vagus nerve? So basically you have two states: fight or flight, or rest and digest. So if you are constant in some stressors and, maybe depression, you're constantly in fight or flight mode. And when you're stimulating vagus nerve with our device, Pulsetto, we are activating those fibers which should push you to the rest and digest state. So that is the mechanism. So basically involuntary push your body into a relaxation state. in general, a lot of things are happening in the body when you're stimulating vagus nerve. So there are some natural ways how you can stimulate vagus nerve. So massages, cold showers, humming, breathing exercises. A lot of people. So I would say if I ask, I don't know, 100 people how you should live the longest, what you need to do, everybody basically knows. Eat well, do some, I don't know, cardio, some physical activity, and do not stress, and etc. Usually everybody knows it, but nobody can follow up this kind of steps. So in general, I would say our device helps to get a little bit of edge if you are constantly stressed. We stimulate vagus nerve, we activate the parasympathetic vagus nerve fibers and push you into a relaxation state. Yeah.
Okay. So what you're saying is the vagus nerve is basically responsible for what state the nervous system is going to be in, basically sympathetic or parasympathetic.
Yeah.
And the parasympathetic is the rest and digest. The sympathetic is the threat.
Fight or flight.
Exactly. Okay. And so on a daily basis, why is the vagus nerve getting dysregulated? Like, why are there certain stimulus? Is it a mindset thing, or what's happening there that it's getting dysregulated in the first place?
So in general, all the above, I would say, is the correct answer. But in general, the body is created to optimize for stress reduction. But at this day and age, you cannot, let's say, differentiate real stressors from artificial stressors. And this is basically where our human nature comes into, a little bit of fight with the current state of the world. So every social media, checking. So it arouses you and it pushes you to fight or flight mode. Okay, everybody's having a great time. Everybody's doing better than you. So you constantly are in fight or flight mode because you want to, I need to do better. I need to do more. Why everybody's getting, better results. So if you're constantly consuming, I don't know, let's say like a very stressful material, in general, you should think it like junk food. Because if you eat a lot of junk food, you understand that your body is getting, worse. When you're consuming a little bit of social media every day, it's also like consuming junk food to your brain. And, vagus nerve stimulation can be like a toothbrush for your brain. So a little bit of hygiene. It will not, alleviate any, let's say, things that is happening, but it might help you to cope with those stressors.
Okay, I love that image of thinking as social media and those inputs as junk food to your nervous system. And I think too, it's like once you get in that hole, the hole just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and we run away with our thoughts and our ideas and comparisons and like you were saying.
By analysis, yeah. So basically, you're just stuck in a moment which you have to basically. There is a simple way to get out, but usually it's very hard because all the social media programs and everything is created that you would get some dopamine hit, which basically like a drug. So you're on drugs which are getting your body in worse state.
Exactly. And so it sounds like they manifest, I guess, to kind of take it down to the individual who many of our listeners are women. We're running around all day, taking the kids to XYZ, managing our jobs, that just crazy amounts of activity. And a lot of us don't even know that we're in fight or flight on a consistent basis. Are there specific signs to know that our nervous system is dysregulated and in that sympathetic state, like things that we should kind of think about to kind of assess our life and determine whether or not we might be in this state?
So several things, of course, there are some physical parameters. If you're constantly agitated, you're getting road rage. Usually these kind of factors can be a very good indicator that you're in fight or flight mode. But in general, I would say, we have created vagus nerve stimulation device, and we say, you can impact what you can measure. So usually we say our customers have Apple Watch, Oura Ring, Whoop Strap, you name it, all the devices are good, in our opinion. So if you measure your heart rate variability, if it is low, usually it is direct correlation to bad sleep, high stress, high anxiety. Also, resting heart rate. If it is high, so, okay, what is high? If you have your baseline, your baseline, you can do some breathing exercises and see if it is increasing, decreasing. So I would say those two metrics are very good. Resting heart rate and heart rate variability. Stimulating vagus nerve increases heart rate variability, decreases resting heart rate. These two metrics are correlated to stress. So if you are impacting, you get the benefit. You can measure it and say, okay, this is helping me. I can do this more, and I can, expand my lifespan basically. Because redlining your body, for several, days, it's good. For 1 week, for a month, it's basically way to burn out and basically, destroying your body.
Yes, completely. I couldn't agree with you more. I purchased an Aura ring, which I wear every day, and I originally purchased it to be a step counter, but it's actually a horrible step counter. But through that, I was like, oh man, I think I dropped maybe $400 on this stupid thing. I better learn how I can use it. And a big piece that I've learned is that interrelationship between the HRV and the resting heart rate. So what you're saying is, the lower the resting heart rate and the higher the HRV, the more we're in that sympathetic state. And the inverse is true. If our resting heart rate is elevated and our HRV is low, it's a good sign that we're in that sympathetic. And I can see that when I'm traveling, when I'm, hitting a deadline. And also too, a big thing for women to pay attention to is the changes throughout our cycle. I do notice that the closer I get to my period, around days 23 to 28, the HRV is going to drop. The resting heart rate is going to elevate. And that's when we really need to prioritize sleep and the vagus nerve supports, because our body is just under that pressure. And so we can get more into that sympathetic state. So I love using those tools. And what you're saying is that is a good indication of whether or not your vagus nerve, like what state your vagus nerve is in, basically.
Yeah, because, you can always do some, there are some natural ways like doing gag reflex, checking if it is present. This also might indicate if your vagus nerve is, let's say, working properly. But in general, I would say, 80% of people have right now some tracker. And you can rely on that tracker and try to optimize, because I do a lot of things with the tracker. I try to notice patterns when I'm getting sick. I'm also noticing patterns when I overtrain, and there are some additional tools which you can use. But in general, just having those two metrics and trying to improve on them is very good, target. And we know that with our device, we can improve those metrics. And that is, the most beneficial thing, because when people are improving heart rate variability, usually they're basically advocating for our device. So the more devices we sell, the more upsell we get. So that is the main issue.
Okay, yeah. And for those that might not understand, we've talked about HRV. You just mentioned heart rate variability, which is HRV. Can we talk a little bit about what the HRV is and how that kind of ties in with the vagus nerve? Because what you're saying is, if your HRV is good, your vagus nerve is probably good, and the two are kind of related in that way. Can you talk a little bit about what HRV is exactly for those that might not know?
So it's a little bit hard to speak, because HRV has, I think 12 parameters, and every wearable tracker measures it a little bit differently. But in general, it's a variability between heartbeats. How flexible basically your beats can be from, let's say, 200 milliseconds to 800 milliseconds. And this is basically your heart ability to adapt to a current situation. So basically, the higher the rate, the better your heart is. And this is one of the key things. I can maybe explain a little bit deeper, but in general, there are so many different topics with which we can go from here. And I do not know if it is, it might be a little bit too scientific, because there are, SSND metrics and other metrics, which basically you cannot measure with scientific equipment. And this basically becomes overload of the data.
Exactly. I think just for the purpose of what I really want individuals to understand who are listening is that the nervous system truly controls how we live our lives. Like when I meet with a client and they're telling me they're dealing with constipation, they maybe have vision issues or panic attacks, they're dealing with chronic stress, irritability, moodiness, they're anxious all the time. A lot of the times when our vagus nerve isn't operating well and we're in that sympathetic state, we're dealing with memory issues, and even to the point of, when you're set on two different choices and you're just having such a hard time making a simple decision and you end up using poor judgment, like your brain is just not working well, you're dealing with digestive issues. Like these are common issues that women come to me all the time with. And oftentimes I'm saying, like, this is a nervous system issue and we can't out supplement this problem. We need to look at the root of it. And so I'd really like to drive that home of like the nervous system is so key and not enough people are talking about it. And what you're telling me is that the HRV is a really good tool in understanding where our nervous system is at and how we can see our progression through supporting that vagus nerve, right? Like if we're supporting it well, the HRV is likely going to respond accordingly.
Yeah. So I can maybe explain a little bit more. Let's say like when I do some, training, preparing for some not exhibition, but some competition. So I do, everyday training. And sometimes I know that I am overtrained. So how do I test myself? So there is a possibility to test your central nervous system easily in the morning. So there is an app, let's say like CNS tap. So you can do tap on a cell phone screen for 10 seconds with one hand and other hand. So basically, if you are overtrained, you can check this and understand, okay, this day I will not be able to do, let's say, competitive lifts because I can be prone to injury. And this test is basically for Parkinson's disease or for tremors to check the dexterity of your fingers. And if your fingers are not working perfectly, it should be indication that your central nervous system is in overdrive and it's let's say, stressed.
That's fascinating. You're saying that this is an app that you can download, or?
Yeah, this is an app. I don't know, €2 or something like this, $2. But just tapping on a screen for 10 seconds with one hand and other hand, then you can check your central nervous system. So basically, also, like I have my baseline, 67 taps per 10 seconds with one hand and 63 with other hand. And if I see the drop 20%, I know that I will not train that day and I will take more rest that day because I know that I will get injured. And this happened for me lots of time. So I have additional things that I'm measuring right now, but this very good, let's say, correlation doing this test first thing in the morning when you wake up. So your central nervous system, basically current state.
That is amazing. I have never heard of this. I just looked it up on the App Store and it's called CNS Tap. Okay, that is fantastic. I am absolutely going to download this and play around with it because my husband often says I'm a walking lab and I can really interpret things. Like even before I upload my Aura data, I'm like, yeah, my sleep score is probably around 84 and I don't feel like I got enough XYZ. And so you start to feel it. Do you find that too? As you're doing the CNS tap, do you already know before you do that test kind of where you're going to sit? Like, has it helped you kind of tap into your body a little bit better?
So in general, you get basically, I don't know, so maybe in the brain you have some correlation. When you do this more or less, I don't know, 20, 50 times, you do not need to do the test, but this is basically cross-checking if something is bad. But I understand my body quite well because I do CNS taps and also I do a grip strength. There's a tool to check your grip strength. So basically, this is my cross-checking tool. and usually they are interlocked. If I do not have a grip strength, usually I do not have dexterity in my fingers. So, I lay off everything because you have prone to injury, prone to getting sick, and etc. So basically, you are overtrained or exhausted or overstressed. Yeah.
I want to share something that's truly transformed my daily routine and overall well-being. Timeline Nutrition's MitoPure supplement. I've been taking it for about a year now, and I can honestly say it's been a game changer. I first heard about MitoPure through a trusted friend who raved about its benefits, and I decided to give it a try. Let me tell you, I am so glad that I did. The energy boost I get is incredible. Not only do I sleep better, but I can also push harder in the gym and recover faster. There was a point where I unintentionally ran out of MitoPure and I was without it for about 45 days. The difference was undeniable. I felt more fatigued, my workout suffered, and my overall energy levels just weren't the same. For me, taking MitoPure is all about investing in my long-term health and muscle strength. I want to be able to hike, run, lift, play, even into my 90s, and MitoPure helps make that possible. Now, here are a few things you should know about MitoPure and why it's so effective. Timeline, the company behind MitoPure, is a Swiss-based life science company and a global leader in urolithin A research. They spent 10 years developing this product. Urolithin A is a powerful postbiotic that you can't get from your diet alone. MitoPure is the first product to offer a precise dose of urolithin A to upgrade your mitochondrial function, increase cellular health, and improve muscle strength and endurance. Think of MitoPure as a little Pac-Man in your cells, chomping up damaged mitochondria that make you feel old and tired and recycling them into new healthy ones. Whether you prefer the convenient soft gels or the berry powder that you can mix into your yogurt or smoothie, MitoPure has a form that fits your lifestyle. And the best part, Timeline is offering 10% off your first order of MitoPure. Just go to timeline.com/KDP. That's TIMELIN.com/KDP for 10% off your first order. And so many women listening move their bodies in some capacity. And I know that I've received many messages of individuals who push hard at the gym, end up injuring themselves, and they're out for a bunch of weeks, and then they get better, and then they go to the gym and they injure themselves and they're out for a bunch of weeks. Would you say that primarily this is usually a nervous system problem, or do you think that that's too wide scope? Like, is that too big of a claim?
So I myself see some correlation between stress and pushing to the gym as hard as possible. If I have high stress levels, usually I cannot go hard in the gym, and usually I lay off, because basically you are pushing the same your body from, if you are very stressed and you are also stressing your central nervous system, so basically you are pushing yourself even further into the place where it's very hard to leave. So in general, if you have very stressful day, okay, it's good to go to the gym, but not to overtrain, because next day it will be even harder. So in general, I would say cross-check, because your body is, as a whole, should be functioning well. So if you are overtraining, also, stressors might give some recovery scores. Your recovery scores will worsen if you are stressed. So it's intertwined and correlated. So it's really hard, but I would say check your body and check your vital, some biomarkers on which you can understand your body, because that is how you will not get injured in a gym.
Yes, exactly. A really fascinating piece that I learned while I was researching Parkinson's, which is a neurodegenerative disease, for those who aren't sure, is that one of the first signs of Parkinson's that will show up years before anything else is the lack of taste. And what I found interesting is that the vagus nerve is responsible for taste buds. And the vagus nerve is also responsible for much of the degeneration and imbalance issues as it relates to Parkinson's. And so I started researching how to regulate the vagus nerve with your tongue, which took me down this whole path. Have you looked at the tongue and the relationship that it has to the vagus nerve at all?
With tongue, I would say I do not have a lot of information about this. This is fascinating. I will have to double check it because, vagus nerve goes to the stomach, to the all. So basically, it's also very connected to gut tissues and etc. So, it's like usually when you say mind gut or brain gut connection, usually you're talking also about vagus nerve. The butterflies that you feel during, I don't know, falling in love, it's also vagus nerve activation in some cases. But I would say when you're stimulating vagus nerve, there is some data that you can increase the satiety sensation. So basically you will get full faster. This is very good. And you also excrete acetylcholine in the spleen, which helps to reduce the inflammation. So if you have very, bad food which inflames your body, which can cause some degenerative diseases in the long run if you're constantly, let's say, inflamed. So it might help to reduce, probability of getting some degenerative diseases. Of course, you have to cross-check it, but there might be a huge potential here. There is not such a huge data on tongue. I do not know about this, but I will have to check it.
Yeah, it's super fascinating. In fact, how I got really interested in regulating my vagus nerve was I follow this physical therapist on Instagram, and she shows you how to hold your tongue with like a piece of fabric. So like not with your actual fingers, and move your tongue around in your mouth, like hold your tongue and then move it side to side, up and down, like however you want to move it. And it will instantly put me into a rest and digest. Like, it's almost like the whole body just relaxes. And I was like, wait a minute, this is fascinating stuff. I'm wondering if you have other activities. You talked about humming. I know singing will do it. You talked about cold plunges. Are there things that individuals could do like today that cost no money at all to understanding that connection of their HRV? So they're like, wait a minute, I probably need to work on this. Maybe I do need a stimulating device, or maybe I need to look at this further. Just something to kind of give them a taste of what it's like to have that regulation.
So fastest way I would say is breathing exercises. Let's say like box breathing. And if you have wearable devices and you can measure heart rate variability, you can instantly see the changes. So breathing exercises basically are the lowest effort, highest reward, in my opinion, solution. Cold showers are very, let's say, for some people might be very uncomfortable. For me, it's, it's gratifying usually, because when you do cold shower, later you get the sensation of warmth and good sensation. Of course, it activates vagus nerve. So in general, this is very good tool, but usually not a lot of people can handle it at first. But you can do, let's say, put your hands in a cold water, put your feet in a cold water to hold for 1 to 2 minutes, and you still get some additional, benefits from it. But yeah, of course, you can join a choir in church or etc. You can sing, and you see that it's also boosts your, you feel more lively and etc. So these things are working perfectly, and I would say if you have mental capacity to do them, try to do them. It will benefit you in the long run, and if you can measure it, it will also show you that you are getting a little bit healthier. And if you see those, let's say, biomarkers increasing, you can try even go further. Let's say buy like a Pulsetto device, which has some additional benefits, because we have, let's say, in the app also meditation techniques, breathing exercises while you're stimulating externally, but you're also doing like, say, breathing exercises. So you're combining several things into one and getting even better results. So, these are things that I would say, are a good starting point. And you can also, try our device, and if it's not working, you can return it, no questions asked.
That's awesome. And I'm so glad that you mentioned the singing part. I know when I'm at church, those Sundays are my days where my ring is always so happy. Like I'm in a rested state the whole time. And my ring is always like, this was a very good day for you. It was a very good day. Really high HRV, really low resting heart rate. And so what's happening with the Pulsetto device when we're wearing it? Is it Are you vibrating the vagus nerve? Are you shocking it? Like what are we doing? What are we doing with it?
So it feels like a tingling sensation on your neck. And a lot of people say, okay, it's vibrating. It's not vibrating. It's sending electrical impulses directly to your vagus nerve. So in general, you can say vagus nerve, it is one nerve, but in general, it's a afferent mixed fibers. And it has more than 160,000 fibers, which are going to various organs and etc. So we're activating only fibers which are going from the body to the brain. So we are activating those fibers which should be activated when you're in rest and digest state. So basically brute forcing your body into relaxation state, because you might, let's say, imagine that your nerve is like a wire, and if there is no electricity, there is no signal. So we push that signal and activate those fibers. So there is a signal, so you get the connection, and we push your body and, let's say, start the cycle for the body to get to rest and digest state. So it's electricity, and why we say it works, because nothing travels faster through a body than electricity. So if you get shocked, if you take, let's say, wires, you feel it instantly. So basically, it's not that sensation, but it feels like vibration, but you feel it instantly. So some people feel lightheadedness after, 2 minutes, but we recommend it 4 minutes in the morning, 4 minutes in the evening. And some people after 2 minutes, okay, I feel lightheaded. Maybe I was very tense, very controlling, and etc. So.
Why is that lightheadedness happening? Like, is that a good sign, or like what's happening there with that?
In general, I would say that from people which I talked who got, in some exhibitions or exposes who tried it, usually they were very controlling and very meticulous about their workday, and everything has to be how they planned. But in general, I would say those people are very tense all the time. And in some cases, I would say maybe they have to find a way how to relax during the daytime, because they do not switch between two states. But during the day, you have to switch between two states because you're basically realigning your body. But when you're trying, everybody try to optimize their day, routine, email. But this is not natural. You have to, to get a little bit breaks during the day also as well.
My husband is very good at reminding me that. I'm the type of person, and I learned from my mother in this way, and because she now has Parkinson's, I look at some of the activities that she's had since I knew her, like from the very beginning of time, like just very scheduled, and I don't leave any gaps in my day, and it's just go, 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 no time, no breaks, got to keep going. Like, it's just not, I am that person. I've really tried to create space. Like, even if it's 10 minutes before my next client, going outside, taking a breath, putting my feet in water and just chilling out just for a couple of moments. And it's incredible. Just a little bit of breath, just a little bit of space makes a really, really big difference. What have you seen when it comes to success stories? If you're going to these exhibits and chat, like, do you get messages from individuals about their progress and success, and what is that like?
So that is very, the best part. When you get, success stories, people are okay. Usually, people who have debilitating conditions have the best success stories. Let's say, like people with cluster headaches, or migraines. Usually, they cannot even function those days. They have to, close the curtains and be in a dark room because they cannot watch, read, or listen to anything. They have to be in complete silence and as low as contact with outer world. So these people are saying, okay, this is amazing. I get better in 1 hour, and I can go with my kids and etc. There are some stories which are basically one mother said to me, she bought a device. Okay, it is working for her. And she said, can it be that I do not have road rage anymore? And I said, yeah, this is possible because you're lowering the stress levels, because she was basically saying my even children were looking me, a little bit sideways when I was shouting in a traffic jam to other cars. And she said, this is completely gone. I became less unstable person, these kind of things. Also things that some clinics in Lithuania started to use our device before going to MRI machines. Because some people have claustrophobia, and they're saying, okay, we had to sedate them usually, but we tried Pulsetto device before, 20 minutes stimulating vagus nerve, and say, okay, we were calm enough to do this MRI machine scans, and that was very interesting for us. We have a lot of patient organizations who are contacting us trying to some specific conditions because they read some papers, but they do not have a device to try. So we had Bechterev's disease, which is like a rheumatoid arthritis. So they have very stiff joints after they wake up. So we have to do some stretching exercises for 3 hours before we can get out of bed. So a lot of those patients told that we reduce from 3 hours to 1 hour. Basically, maybe it is because vagus nerve stimulation reduces the inflammation. So, a lot of stories, a lot of positive feedback, and this is basically we have a document where we have, let's say, clear success stories, and trying to remind ourselves that to step back a little bit and see how much we can improve some people's lives, and not to forget that you have to push, sell, and build, and iterate, and etc. So this is our, as co-founders, problem that we are sometimes forget, but we created this document just to reflect on that.
Electrolytes facilitate hundreds of functions in the body, including the conduction of nerve impulses, hormonal regulation, nutrient absorption, and fluid balance. Nearly every one of my clients that I work with one-on-one have an imbalance of electrolytes in some way, from symptoms of headaches, muscle cramps, fatigue, sleeplessness, or seen right there in their blood work. Much of this is improved with proper electrolyte supplementation. I consume at least 1 packet of electrolytes daily, and not just any electrolyte element, because it doesn't have sugar, fillers, coloring, artificial anything, and has the effective electrolyte ratio that so many other brands do not do right. 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium. Right now, Element is offering my listeners a free sample pack with any Element purchase. Be sure to try the new Element Sparkling, a bold 16-ounce can of sparkling electrolyte water. It's my favorite right now. Get yours at drinklmnt.com/KDP. This deal is only available through my link. All orders made come with a no questions asked refund policy. Try it totally risk-free, and if you don't like it, they will give you your money back, no questions asked. Go to drinklmnt.com/KDP for your free sample pack with any order. So one of the reasons on my Instagram, I have a client results highlight, and every time a client says like, my life has changed and all these things have happened, I put it on Instagram, yes, so other people can read it, but like mostly for myself, because there are days where you're just in the weeds with your company and you really need that boost. I'm just like, what am I focused on? What's happening? Because truly, you do get in the weeds with when you're developing something. And I think that that's a great way to stay focused on why you got started, to remember what kind of drives you forward. If I just go on Amazon and I type in like vagus nerve stimulator, I'm going to get, products that range from like $14. There's one on here for $14 all the way up to $200. Can you tell me like what is going on with the landscape of vagus nerve stimulators? And like some of these, the reviews are terrible, so that should tell you just one thing off the bat. But what makes your device different than those other devices, and what are the differences between them?
Okay, so I do not know specifically on devices you can find right now on Amazon because I'm in different locations. Sometimes different things can pop up, but in general, usually those vagus nerve stimulation devices do not stimulate vagus nerve, or they are some massage tools or etc. So I would say several things. Our devices, the one on the market, which is bilateral, so stimulating vagus nerve from both sides, so you get effect faster. So it's also wearable, and so you put it on your neck, and basically you can read your emails while stimulating. So you do not need to allocate the time, specific time. So like for meditation, you need to set specific time to stimulate for to meditate for 20 minutes or do breathing exercises. So we designed it basically for ourselves, so we can, use it while we are working sometimes. But compared to other devices on the market, I would say, there are some devices on the market which from ours are good also. There are some devices which can stimulate vagus nerve in the ear region. They have some drawbacks, but in general, our main selling point is that we are constantly iterating on the application side. So you might not know, but we are trying to optimize the signal which are sent to your vagus nerve. So just to get your better results to you, we're trying to also iterate, as I mentioned, meditation, breathing exercises, affirmations, everything that could boost. And we are only one on the market which has an application with a wearable device. So you know that you will get the updates and etc. And we are, I would say, right now most competitive price compared to others, because there are some devices which are very good devices, but they cost 600 euros a month. Or 600 because we have like a prescription or subscription. So we are doing quite, I would say, aggressive marketing, because we know that the more we sell, the more recommendations we get. So in just 1 year, we are, I would say, number one device on the market already, excluding implantable devices, because we are tackling completely different topics. So we know that the more people trying our device, the more they are switching from competitors. So that is our main things. But there are some devices on the market which are similar to, let's say, TENS devices, if you know. Those muscle stimulators. So if you read those labels, usually they say that you cannot put them on your neck or your heart, because they do not take responsibility what can happen. And we designed our device only in a neck region, and that's it. So we know that it's safe. We know what we're targeting. We know what kind of electrical signal we're sending. So one device, one application, maybe multiple conditions, but just trying to optimize via vagus nerve. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, you did. I think the key thing, as a consumer, when I listen to podcast episodes, I'm going to do my research. I'm going to go online. I'm going to see what else is available. And I wanted people to kind of be primed for that so that they could understand kind of what the differences are. I would love to spend the rest of our time kind of talking about the practical applications of wearing the Pulsetto, when to use. You talked about there being an app. Now, the first time I tried my Pulsetto, I have to say I was a little bit confused because it's not as tight as I thought it would be, and it kind of just like rests gently on the neck. And I kept thinking, like, is it in the right place? Should it be further back than it is? And it's kind of dangling, is my neck too small? Can you talk about just the wearing of the device and where it should be kind of sitting as more of a practical application thing?
Yeah, so basically you can wear it between, I would say, I'm pointing with the fingers here and up to here, but you can push it, place it basically directly on your neck, sides, and you would activate vagus nerve. So, by creating electrical signal, which creates enough of electrical loop that would cover those fibers. So I know that problem that you're talking, maybe it's a little bit too loose. We will fix this problem next month, just for the application. There are some people who have, let's say, very lean necks, which is positive, but we notice that there are some people who say, okay, it's a little bit too big. So we're tackling this issue right now, and it will be basically obsolete.
Okay, because when I pushed it back to where I think the vagus nerve was, it was a really intense feeling. Is that how it should feel or not really?
Basically, there are 9 intensity levels, and the intensity level are not to hurt you, but basically to check if you're in the right application. So when you're placed here or here, and you increase your intensity and feel the lip pull, or you see in the
Yes.
mirror, it's in the right place. You can lower the intensity; it will still activate your vagus nerve, but it's just to check if it is in the right place. We know that there are some professional athletes who usually likes, I don't know, pain. They put it on a level 9 and they endure. It helps them to relax somehow, but the intensity is just to check if you're in the right place, because in level 5, as a level 9, you will have activation, but it's just, if I'm in the right place. Okay, you increase intensity, see the let's say, physical changes in your body, you're in the right place, you can lower the intensity, it will be still good enough. It still activates vagus nerve. So the more energy you push, the better signal you will not get.
Okay, that's really good. That's really good, because I did notice the lip thing and I was like, oh, that was really intense. So what you're saying is keep it in that location, just lower the intensity and keep it in that area. And that's kind of what I've been doing. So I'm glad. Let's move on to, like you mentioned before, a couple minutes in the morning, a couple minutes at night. We talked about just nervous system dysregulation as a caution for working out. Question, could you then use the Pulsetto device before a workout? Is that a crazy idea?
So, okay, let's start from the beginning. So I would say 4 minutes in the morning, 4 minutes in the evening, it's a very good baseline. Usually, when you see the effects, you can use it more. So with our device, you cannot overuse it, because the implantable device, you can use it up to 12 hours a day and you still do not get some nerve damage or nerve scarring tissue. So in general, with our device, you can use it for even for a couple of hours, but it's not necessary. But if you see the improvement, you can use it more. That's what we see from the data. So people who are responders, usually from two times a day, usually they switch, I don't know, to 4 times a day. When they have stressors, when they feel exhausted, because from stress you can be exhausted, they try to, optimize themselves. So talking about the exercise, we have professional athletes who are using our device. So we are using in 2 ways. Before competition, ramping down a little bit, because they are getting overhyped and they do not perform very well when you're overhyped, and people who are overhyped after the competition, so they cannot go to sleep. So we noticed this. So people are using, to go better, earlier to bed. This is our main, let's say, demographic. People who have sleep issues have the best results. And as a side effect, I can share you interesting information. We noticed retrospectively that people who are using the device before going to bed, let's say like 60%, see vivid dreams. And we do not know why currently. But we have very, I don't know,
theories.
Yeah. And theories. Basically, I talked with neurologists and neuroscientists. They told me, okay, this is very interesting. We need to do a clinical trial and try to understand, because you have to connect person to EEG machine, and this is quite costly. So we're trying to get the funding for this, because it's very interesting why it is happening. But there are some things from implantable devices. It can desynchronize your, let's say, brain waves, and it might change something in your brain wave patterns after just before your awakening. So it might be that it is pushing you into a REM sleep, something like this. Also, it might be that you get let's say blood flow in the brain, and it might be that you are getting more quality of sleep. So we know that you're getting more quality of sleep, so getting a little bit of deep sleep and REM sleep. But why 60% of our people, our customers who are getting vivid dreams, we do not know right now. And this is quite interesting topic on which we are trying to tackle right now.
That is so fun. Oh my goodness. We could probably chat forever about all of these integrations and what you see for the future. I will be sure to include a link to direct individuals to Pulsetto to learn more. Where can people connect with you and learn more? And yeah.
So there is a website, pulsetto.tech, or you can also message me directly on LinkedIn. I would say it's the easiest way, Povilas Sabaliauskas. I don't know, maybe Leanne
Show
will
notes. Check the show notes.
show notes, because it will be hard to spell right now. But if you have direct questions, you can always try to, reach directly to me, Povilas at pulsetto.tech. I will usually, have dedicated time to talk to customers, to see what's happening, and to get a feedback, because, you have so much layers right now. You have customer support, etc. But you want to always have a pulse. What is working, what is not, and this is very important to me personally, because in general it's all about the people, and you need to not to forget this thing. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I will be sure to include all of that in the show notes so people can connect and look more at the device. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. This was such a blast. I hope individuals learn a whole bunch about their nervous system. Thanks again.
Thank you very much for having it. It was a pleasure.
I hope you enjoyed our time with Povilas. He's made such a significant stride in the field of neuromodulation, and I hope that our conversation today was just that deep dive that you needed to appreciate your nervous system. Again, you can find out more about Pulsetto by going to the link in the show notes, Pulsetto, and use the discount code Leanne for 20% off your whole order. Okay, I'll see you back here next week for another episode. Thanks for listening to the Healthful Pursuit Podcast. Join us next Tuesday for another episode of the show. If you're looking for free resources, there are a couple of places you can go. The first, to my blog, healthfulpursuit.com, where you're going to find loads of recipes. The second is a free parasite protocol that I've put together for you that outlines symptoms, testing, and resources to determine whether or not you have a parasite, plus a full protocol to follow to eradicate them from your life if you need to. That's available at healthfulpursuit.com/parasites. And last but certainly not least, a full list of blood work markers to ask your doctor for so that you can get a full picture of your health. You can grab that free resource by going to healthfulpursuit.com/labs. The Healthful Pursuit Podcast, including show notes and links, provides information in respect to healthy living, recipes, nutrition, and diet, and is intended for informational purposes only. The information provided is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor is it to be construed as such. We cannot guarantee that the information provided on the Healthful Pursuit Podcast reflects the most up-to-date medical research. Information is provided without any representation or warranties of any kind. Please consult a qualified health practitioner with any questions you may have regarding your health and nutrition program.